The Australian Open has officially happened, but what we are going to be specifically talking about with that is not necessarily deck lists or anything, but the ruling that ended up going on and what we can do as players to avoid these types of things from happening in the future. All of that and more starting now. So for those of you who don't know exactly what was ending up going on with the judge call and the ruling that happened, this is the clip for you.
The crowd.
Okay, go for sure. So gains one, so it goes up to 8.
Yeah, if there was a way for
and then
Jesse
you move
to
the broom away.
banish the broom.
Banish broom. Oh, it says
Plays the goat, banish the broom. Yep.
there's a rulings question. So I'm guessing, hey, can he do broom even though he said goat? And okie dokie. So yeah. So it's a very interesting. If you can it's a stretch. Oh wait, he had a rose in hand though, right? No, that was Elsa.
That was Elsa.
Yeah, cool. Kind of look like Rose. So it's like you want to be able to get a little bit more out, and it looks like we're back into the game.
Yes,
here.
we are.
And it looks stuff happened. Goat.
So
broom. Broom did not get pushed away.
Yep. So Mao is able to retrieve develop your brain.
Yep.
1 cost for develop your brain, gain 1 lore.
Yep.
So what specifically happened? Well, the player went ahead and he played his goat. When the goat comes out into play, you have the ability to activate it to be able to gain 1 lore. Now, be in mind that says when it comes into play, you are able to activate. Wording is very important here. With that being said, too, though, you have the ability to also go ahead and activate the broom. The difference is, though, the broom specifically says you also may activate it. It's not a will activate kind of ability, which is where this can be a little bit dicey. At the same time, though, when you activate multiple abilities at the same time, they all go into a bag. The player who then has those activations in the bag is able to then choose which order these activations get to resolve in. So for example, the player was going to go ahead and activate the goat activation, gaining 1 lore, and then after the fact, he was going to go ahead and activate the broom effect to be able to banish and draw 1 card. Now, the difficult thing about this is that the other player in particular, because the player in question did not specifically state, I am activating goat, I am activating broom, and then choosing to resolve how everything goes, then because of that, he was unfortunately had a judge called on him. And the judge went ahead and ruled in the Ruby Sapphire's favor, saying, hey, sorry, you did miss the activation on the broom. Therefore, you are not able to draw a card. Your broom also still remains exerted, which became a really big play for the Maui Shark and started a downfalling trend for this player to unfortunately lose the match. Is that technically unfair in how that, Ruby Sapphire player went about in this kind of scenario? And the answer is yes. Because in particular, the EA player didn't necessarily break any rules in this regard. He didn't miss an activation. He didn't do anything out of the ordinary to be able to go ahead and miss said activation in that regard, and did nothing wrong. You do this in a regular game store. You even do this in another, an LCQ or a challenge in America or things of that nature as well, then you're not going to necessarily see these rulings going out. And so why is that in particular? Well, first and foremost, this game is still incredibly new, and there are, especially even in Australia, this was really their first, challenge that was able to happen there. And so because of that, they might have needed additional judges and whatnot, and this guy who made the ruling might not have had all of the proper training and information that he needed to be able to make this decision as accurately and as knowledgeably as he needed to. Now, at the same time, this Ruby Sapphire player in particular was trying to nitpick the ruling station, and you in my opinion, you can almost tell that he's looking for these types of situations, being a rule shark, if you will, to be able to get you off your game and try to get any minuscule advantage that he can possibly get to try to get ahead in this game. And unfortunately, there are players like that in the game that do try to go about it in this way. And it's bad because it does ruin this kind of game state, or it ruins the game for so many players who otherwise would remain in this game and whatnot. And I really hope that the EA player where this did happen to him, I really hope that he doesn't leave the game over this, because it was unfortunately a poor ruling on the judge's fault, and also on the player for specifically calling out said play when, you know, nothing wrong was done. That's the biggest thing. Now, there are certain things that you needed to do to be able to go about, getting this resolved properly. And this is also going back down to the EA player possibly not even knowing all of the rules himself as a someone who is actually getting casted or even competing in a challenge or a last chance qualifier. And this is something that you need to know for yourself as well, because this can be very important. First and foremost, the EA player in and of himself needed to know that he also could call for an appeal on a higher up judge. You're able to do that if you don't necessarily agree with how the judge went about on your ruling, or if it just didn't sound quite right. You are always entitled to a second opinion. Now, of course, don't abuse that by any means. Every time a judge comes and rules, you're like, I need another judge. No, don't do that. But if you do feel that you are, that the judge might not have explained it as well, or that there could potentially be a different ruling that goes about this, then of course you are able to call out to an higher judge to be able to make an additional ruling in your favor. At the same time, when you go about doing that, do understand that, definitely be respectful in the scenario. Go ahead and state, hey, is it okay if I just go ahead and appeal this, try to get a second opinion on this matter? Especially when you are having so much at stake in this case. You do have, this is a very difficult scenario. You're playing for Worlds, and in this case, player, the very next round would be, if he wins this match, qualifies for Worlds. Whoa, that's awesome. And so there's a lot at stake, and then on top of that, your match is casted. There's a lot of nerves that come from that when you are in that kind of scenario, and so those are things that you need to be in mind of. That's the difficult part, and unfortunately the EA player didn't go about it in the best way as well. He should have asked for an appeal, but also more importantly, the Ruby Sapphire player is out of line in how he went about this. So, what can you do in these types of situations to make this better? First of all, really understand the deck that you are playing and how the rules apply for your cards. Because especially in this kind of scenario, someone is going to try to nitpick every little move that you are going to be doing, and you need to know how your rules in particular work. Because if the guy starts to try to get under your skin, starts calling you out for every little thing that might be going on, if you already know how your rules work, that doubt isn't going to seep into your mind, and you are going to be able to go about this kind of scenario that much better. I happened to on accident make a mistake in my store champs kind of thing. In the very first round, I was playing Ruby Sapphire, and I on accident totally missed a trigger. I think I forgot to quest with Tipo before a bounce back or something along those lines. I missed a play. And I myself even called myself out. I'm like, oh, man, I totally forgot to do this kind of play. Oh, well, that's on me. And I didn't even bother asking the other player, hey, is it okay if I take that back and do it again? If it is locals, kind of thing, that's okay, because locals doesn't really have all that much at stake, and you're also there just to kind of play casually anyway, and so you're going to be going about that. And we're here to learn our decks and play in a just fun environment. But at a store championship in that regard, it's like something like that happens and you miss a trigger. Oops, you can still technically ask if you so choose to be able to go about that route. At the same time, though, missed triggers, the other player does not have to grant you to be able to take that back, and that's something that you need to understand for yourself as well. You do not need to give the player the ability to take back a turn if they missed a trigger. You are both playing for, a chance at top 8. Getting some prize support. That Scar card is looking pretty cool. That playmat is looking even cooler. So, we are all playing for something bigger than, a pack if I win, or even just, hey, we already got our packs, so, what's the big deal? Now, the biggest thing, again, and I cannot stress this enough, you need to understand that you can always appeal to a higher judge, that you do not have to go with the ruling that the first judge happens to make. He can go ahead and state exactly how he feels about this ruling, how it should have gone, and whatnot. Again, though, you need to, even if you might not agree with the judge, there are best ways that you could go about saying that, like saying, hey, just to be safe, is it okay if we call another judge to be able to make this appeal just to make sure that we get the best ruling possible for this scenario? Not, hey, sorry, I feel like that you were kind of wrong in this kind of scenario, and so I just really want to get a second opinion. there, and the biggest thing too, is of course do not get mad either at your opponent or at the judge in question here. So because that is just going to make the situation for yourself that much more, difficult for it to even go in your favor, even if you are in the right. And so you just got to be a little bit careful about how you go about that. Now, at the same time, there are still the chance that judge and the appeal can even get it wrong. That's fine, within reason, of course. But the biggest thing, of course, is going to be that, they are human and need to be treated as such. Don't take it out on them. Don't necessarily take it out on your opponent, because you are going to be having those opponents that are going to be trying to find any and all advantages that they can, especially in a challenge where you have a really great chance to be able to go ahead and go about this kind of scenario. He's going to be possibly trying to nitpick everything. And in that case, what you need to go about doing is making sure that, the judge is at least knowledgeable about what's going on with him and what might be going on with that. And so you got to be a little bit mindful about how that is going to go. Now, at the same time, you also have the ability to be able to call out the player. And I'm not going to be stating, like, you need to go ahead and nitpick him, but there are certain players where, they might be misplaying as well, and you will have the ability to also, say, hey, by the way, you misplayed that, and also calling the judge on them if they happen to make any misplays. You have the ability to do that. Of course, we want a fair and competitive game. We don't want, the rule sharks to be coming in and nitpicking every little thing. They can even get in trouble for doing so, and so to put that on the judge's radar can be something that is beneficial for you. Now, the biggest thing as well too is sometimes players will try to get ahead in tournaments as well by playing silent. That is something that can be a little bit of a red flag, because they could very well be trying to get ahead with an additional activation or an additional ink or something along those lines, something to try to get ahead by not stating what they are wanting to do or what they are doing during the match. Now, that is something also that you can do as well, where you can be as vocal as possible. So you go ahead and say, hey, I am going to go ahead and tap Grandma Tala to be able to sing how far I'll go. That'll allow me to draw, 2 cards, put one into the Inkwell Exerted, and put one into my hand. Even going as vocal as that, can go ahead and help stop from a lot of scenarios from happening, and just being as clear cut as you can be in certain aspects of this game. I really hope that this EA player doesn't leave the game over this, and I really hope that if something like this happens to you, that you don't necessarily leave this game over this kind of scenario as well. This is such an awesome game, and I really don't want, it to be ruined by a couple of players who just want to nitpick the game because they want to be able to have as many advantages as they can to be able to get ahead. That's something that you definitely need to be able to keep in mind as you go about this. And I really hope that if you are happening to be a rule shark, that you go ahead and leave the game, or at least change your tactics on how you go about playing this game, because we don't want to have this kind of environment in the game where you are looking for every little advantage that you can possibly have to try to get ahead. That's not how it should be, nor how it should be played in any scenario. There is a balance, as we have discussed. Go ahead and play the game correctly. Feel free to call the judge as you see fit. but at the same time, to nitpick as, this Ruby Sapphire player did is entirely wrong, should not be awarded or anything in that way, and is very petty of him to be able to do so. Let me know what you guys think about the ruling in the comment. Let me know about what you think about this video so far, and if you have any other comments or suggestions, go ahead and let me know. Also, I am a growing YouTube channel trying to make normal Lorcana content for you, so if you do want to go ahead and support this channel, go ahead and like the video and subscribe as well. We also have a Lorcana League that takes place online at Pixelborn or Discord, where we go ahead and play a match once a week in a best of 3 match. A great way to be competitive, get to know the community. We have 48 competitors so far, and we would love to have you as well. There's a lot to look forward to with that. The Discord down below has all the information you need to be able to find out more. Go ahead and also message me personally once you join the Discord. Very happy to help you out. Anyway, with that being said, guys, so great to have you here. Hopefully we keep having a great game, and this game continues to grow, because it is a really great game, and I'm excited to see how it will continue to grow. But until next time, guys, have a good one.